Greetings programs, Atari here, you there, and this is a Raspberry Pi 3 Model B+, and we're going to attempt to install Windows 98 on this thing. Okay, so getting Windows 98 onto a Raspberry Pi is a little bit of a complicated process. A few things you got to do. One, it's an ARM processor, so it's not x86, so it's not going to, it's the wrong architecture for one. So we're going to have to emulate the x86 architecture on top of Raspbian. So let's just get started. We'll download Raspbian here from raspberrypi.org, and there goes the train. Just going to be getting the minimal, just the stretch with desktop. Download zip. Get that downloaded. We're going to use the desktop version because it's a little easier to get the graphics drivers and everything running when they're already there instead of doing it off of the light installation. So let's give that a few minutes to get downloaded, and then we will install that. We'll flash an SD card, get that installed, and get that started. So putting Windows 98 onto a Raspberry Pi is a little bit of a complex maneuver, mostly because we're dealing with different architectures. So the Raspberry Pi, of course, has an ARM architecture, and Windows 98 uses an i386 architecture, a 32-bit architecture versus 64-bit architecture. So two very, very different programming architectures. So the only way to do it really is to emulate. So we have to put a virtual machine emulator on the Raspberry Pi, and we're going to use one called QTMU. And so we need to get that installed on, the first thing we're going to do is get that installed on the Raspberry Pi. And in order to do that, we're just going to simply sudo apt get install. My A button doesn't like to work. There we go. Install QTMU. Okay, yes. All right, fantastic. So that's done, that's set up. Now I need, actually, because the performance is going to be better over here, I need to install QTMU on my Windows machine. So let me get that set up. Okay, so QTMU is a little bit different on Windows. It installs with like a traditional Windows binary executable, but it runs as a command prompt, as a command line program. So that's what we have to do here. So we've got we're in the C program files QTMU folder here, and first thing I'm going to do is create a virtual hard drive. QTMU image create. We're going to call it win98.image, and we're going to make it 4 gigabytes, which is the same size as the original hard drive that was in the Xybernaut. So do that. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to install Windows 98 onto that virtual hard drive using one of these old PC restore disks that I happen to have. So let's get that going. We'll put that in the drive there, and we're going QTMU system i386, which is our architecture. The CPU is a Pentium 2 with 256 megs of memory. The CD-ROM is the host's drive E. We're going to boot from drive D, which is the virtual CD-ROM drive. using the virtual hard drive. Let's see, /users win98.img. Okay. All right, we're just going to let that go. Let's go ahead and put that in full screen. Okay, so we're going to boot from the CD-ROM. And now we wait. Well, I don't wait yet. Start Windows 98 from CD-ROM. Oh man, it's been a while since I've seen these little prompts and notifications. Oak Technology. CD-ROM driver for DOS. I really need to get to work on my my DOS computer. I miss playing some DOS. MSCDX. I really miss playing some DOS games. Like, oh man, like this whole Windows 98 aesthetic. Just I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. This was like the heyday of my my computing. This was high school. Set up Windows now. Press Enter. Okay. Configure unallocated disk space. Use the large disk support, and restart the computer. Boot from the CD-ROM, and set up from CD-ROM. So we go through this rigmarole again. But, Windows 98 with plus, exclamation point, that was kind of my, that was really like the heyday of home computing for me. Like, I managed to get a copy of Windows 98 somehow. I probably borrowed it and installed it on my PC. I don't remember. I really don't remember. Okay, formatting the hard drive. Which is funny because it kind of does this in real time. It's weird. It's like kind of cycle accurate for a Pentium 2. But yeah, 98. It was a lot of America Online dial-up internet. This is middle high school. Played a lot of Strike-a-Match, Boxer Jam games. Played a lot of Strike-a-Match. That was good. That was my jam, man. Playing some Strike-a-Match on America Online, sitting in the chat rooms, ASL. Oh, those halcyon old days of the early internet. Before social media was a thing. Back when if you wanted to watch a video, you found like a real-time player file, so like a real media file, like a .rm, and you downloaded it, and it would take like an hour. It would take like an hour to download this file that was like just a few megabytes big. Maybe like 4 or 5 megabytes, and it was just super low resolution, this super grainy, but we didn't know any better. I mean, we didn't know. I mean, nowadays we're streaming in 4K, streaming across the interwebs in 4K. It boggles my mind sometimes. Like, yes, the internet exists. All of you little trolls out there that are like, old man forgot what the internet's like. Old man realizes that the internet exists. It's like, children, I come from an era before you. I come from an era before broadband internet. I come from an era before all of this nonsense here. I remember watching television, broadcast television. Oh my goodness. That's what I used to do. Is like I would sit in my bedroom and I had, computer right here, big desktop computer thing, because I was the only one that used a computer. My parents my mother doesn't use a computer. She has a phone, which I guess, yeah, but she never ever like used a computer at home. Uh, my dad he has a antagonistic at best relationship with desktop computing. He loves his iPhone though. Whatever. Um, anyway, so but yeah, like I was the only one that used a computer, so it was in my room, and so I would be there, and like I mean, all hours of the night, especially on the weekends. Uh, I would be going here on the computer, and then and because it was so slow being on the internet, if I wasn't playing a game, if I was actually on the internet, um, it would be I'm here on the computer, and then over my left shoulder, over here was the television. I had this old, even by those standards, was old. It had the little push button tuner on it, and I don't mean like it was a button that you pushed and it tuned, like a digital tuner. No, this was an analog push button tuner. This television was from the freaking, oh my gosh, that thing had to be from the early 80s. But it had like all the VHF channels, the 2, 5, 8, 11, 14. No, 14 was UHF. 2, 5, 8, 11. And that's what we had in Atlanta. And then had two little spots where it had a little asterisk, and those were the programmable UHF positions. So you would push that button, and then there was a little I want to say it's a potentiometer. I'm not quite sure at this point, looking back, because I never took it apart, because I didn't want to take my TV apart. But oh, the drive's formatted. Fantastic. So what you would do is you push the button, and then you turn this little wheel until it tuned the UHF station that you wanted. And the UHF, 14, 17, 36, 46, well, 30, 36, 46, and 69. Those were the stations in Atlanta. Which, of course, most of the stations worth watching were UHF, so it didn't work very well as far as like convenience or whatnot. But by that time, yeah, I had a VCR, and the mid '90s, late '90s, I had a VCR, and so we just had the VCR. You cable your antenna cable, we just ran into the VCR, and you use the digital tuner on the VCR. Setup is now going to perform a routine check. Continue, press enter. Oh, this is the old school Microsoft scan disk. Oh man. Oh man. Memories. Anyway, so you would have this. You have a digital tuner on the VCR, and that's how you get the different channels. And I want to say by this time we had cable. We didn't get cable till I was in middle school, high school. So pretty sure we had cable by then, by '98. I think we had cable by then. I'm not sure. It was a weird time because a lot of those years run together, because really in my brain, because of things that happened in my family. My parents got divorced and everything when I was in high school. So a lot of that was, I look at that era as like before divorce, after divorce. So it's really hard to say. We got cable before divorce. We did have that before divorce, because I think they got it for my sister, mostly. I remember when we got cable too. It was like, oh my gosh, we got cable. We're getting cable. Oh my, that was a big deal, especially for my family, because we never had it. My granny had cable. she had cable at her house, and that's when I would watch like Nickelodeon. Um, Cartoon Network was Cartoon Network was around by then. Cartoon Network was still kind of new in the mid '90s. I can't remember when Cartoon Network started, but I remember watching like Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network at my grandmother's house and my granny's house. Welcome to Windows 98. Congratulations on choosing Windows 98, the software that makes your computer more powerful, reliable, manageable, and entertaining. With Windows 98, you can connect to the internet quickly and easily, and Windows 98 is even easier to use than Windows 95. And, well, yeah, it is. Setup will take from 30 to 60 minutes depending on the speed of your computer. So to begin setup, click Continue. Continue. Setup is preparing the Windows 98 Setup Wizard, which will guide you through the rest of the setup process. Please wait. So, yeah, I want to say I got Windows 98. It was probably like 99. It was probably about 1999 when I got Windows 98. And I'm trying to, I really don't remember because it all kind of blurred together. And I still have my, obviously I have my original discs. I have my original 95 disc. One thing I do not have from that era are my DOS discs, because my DOS computer, I probably wrote over those floppies, quite honestly, because I probably felt like I didn't need them. And then the thing with optical media, though, because optical media was not rewritable at the time. I mean, CD burners were, they existed, but they were god awful expensive, like not consumer level yet. At least not for me, who's like scrimping by and trying to get by on as little as possible. We're going to install 2C Windows. Okay, checking for installed components. Well, you're not going to find anything. You better have enough space to install Windows 98. You got 4 gigabytes. Heck, I don't remember even having a 1 gigabyte hard drive until it had to be it was my compact. I think my compact was the last desktop I had before I switched over to laptops. I haven't had a desktop computer in at least 15 years. When I bought my first laptop, I was in college. I was in college when I got my first laptop, and I bought it. I bought it myself. I paid for it myself. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, my folks were not moneyed, so I played catch up on a lot of this stuff. And like, they really they pulled a lot of strings to try and get me the tools I needed to, what we thought at the time succeed. They pulled a lot of strings. Oh, here we go. Let's see. Setup options. Let's look at the custom options here. Let's see. The accessibility features, accessibility options. Let's put the accessibility tools on there because I might need the magnifier later and the high visibility cursors. I'm thinking I might need that later. Accessories. Briefcase. I don't need. We'll put the calculator on there. We'll put some desktop wallpaper on there. We'll put the games on there. Let's put some mouse pointers on there and mess around with those. Put paint on there. Put the screensavers. Let's look at the screensavers. Additional screensavers. Windows scripting host. I don't think I'm going to need that, but I'll leave it in there anyway. It's only 0.4 megs. Gosh, looking at this stuff, I remember it being so huge. Like, oh my gosh, it's 4 megabytes. do I really need all of that for 4 megabytes? You know, can I get rid of some of that because I don't need it? Okay, so let's see, dial-up ATM support. Let's see, ADSL modem, such as ADSL modems. Wow. Dial-up networking via modem. No, don't need that. The dial-up server, don't need that. Direct cable connection, well, maybe. Oh, no, I guess not. Hyperterminal? This is all via modem. Enables you to call people on the internet or a LAN. On a call, you can talk, share applications, draw in a shared whiteboard, and send messages. That's nifty. Oh, I remember playing with the phone dialer. That was another. What in the world? Oh, there we go. I remember playing with the phone dialer. That was fun. You would you would call you call somebody with the phone dialer, be like, I called you with my modem. I'm not going to have a modem on there. Virtual private networking. No, we'll leave that off too. Okay. Desktop themes. I kind of want to put the desktop themes on there and just see. Oh my gosh. Oh man, I remember those. The golden era. Internet tools, connection sharing, don't need. Wallet, don't need. Personal web server, don't need that. WebPub wizard, don't need any of that. Okay, we're good there. Multi-language support, don't need. Multimedia. No, that's this dang. The problem is the mouse is in the wrong spot sometimes. There we go. Multimedia. Let's see. Audio compression. Oh, multimedia sound schemes. Yes. Sample sounds. Yes. All right. And we got all that. Online services. Don't need any of those. I don't even think any of these are still in business. Well, America Online, still sort of technically out there. Don't need Outlook. System tools. Don't need backup. I don't really need the character map or the clipboard viewer. Compression tools. NetWatcher. Why not? We'll take a look at that. And the resource meter. Yeah, we'll keep those. Keep all those. Okay. 11 whole megabytes dedicated to multimedia. And web TV. No, I don't need web TV. Okay. Next. All right. Computer name. Oh, come on. There we go. Xyberpunk. Punk! I saw punk! Work group's fine. Yeah. Keyboard layout, fine. United States. Start copying the files. Let's do this. Please sit back and relax while Windows 98 installs on your computer. During this automated installation process, you'll learn about some of the enhancements to Windows 98 and a few of its exciting new features. After Windows 98 is installed, you are invited to take the Discover Windows 98 tours to learn more. I always love going back and reading these because it's so funny. It's like, this is so much better than Windows 95, isn't it? Yes, it's so much faster and better. Oh man. Okay, well, we're gonna strap ourselves in and watch this thing go. Well, at least it's running at Pentium speed, so it's faster. I tried this a while ago and it was just so slow. Oh, here comes another one. Windows just got better. Windows 98 helps you get the most out of your computer by making it easier to use, more reliable, faster, and more entertaining. Oh. This is sure to take a while. Do 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 do. Hopefully this won't take a whole hour. More innovative! This new release includes hundreds of enhancements and new features based on customer requests and product support experiences. Like its predecessor, Windows 98 supports new, cutting-edge technologies, while at the same time providing the best support for your current hardware and programs. If only we could say the same thing about Windows 10, right? I'm not crazy about Windows 10. I'm not crazy about it. It's kind of a pain in the butt. In my other life, I do freelance technical support, and it's always Windows 10 decides to update at the wrong time, and unfortunately, by the time it happens, it's too late, and I have to just let it go and do its thing. And then half the time, of course, it updates and it destroys the computer, and so it's like, well, got a backup. So, yeah, I work with a guy who's, it's literally his entire life's work is on that computer. And it's like stressful sometimes because the backups aren't always synchronized. It's like, easier to use. Your computer and the internet are easier to use than ever before. Simplified navigation features like the back, forward, and favorites buttons make it easier to move among files, programs, and internet sites. Windows 98 also makes it easier for you to select and open files and programs. You can select a file simply by moving the mouse pointer over it, and you can open a file or program with a single click. I don't know if anybody ever actually used that. That was that weird experiment that Microsoft was doing, like, because they basically wrapped Internet Explorer into File Explorer, and that was what caused like all the antitrust stuff, and that kind of like spurred on the antitrust thing in the late 90s. But yeah, they tried to basically make Internet Explorer and File Explorer the same program. And it didn't work so well because, well, it was Internet Explorer and it's kind of terrible. It's still, well, it doesn't, it's deprecated now, but it's always been terrible. IE has always, golly. It was like the first thing you do is you install Netscape. I was about to say Firefox, and Firefox wasn't around back then. The first thing you do is install Netscape Navigator. Gosh, I never dreamed I would be in like this position where I'm like messing around with stuff. I mean, I was messing around with this stuff when it was current. So like, oh, easier to get help. If you have questions about using Windows 98, it's easy to get answers. Windows 98 has a built-in help system that is informative and easy to use. If you have access to the internet, you can visit the new Windows Update site, a web-based extension of Windows 98 that includes the latest product assistance information. Now they just bake it into the OS and it just updates whether you want it or not. Oh, and then it breaks your programs and you got to go back and fix them. But anyway, yeah. So when I was a kid, I was messing around with this stuff when it was current, when it was contemporary, and it's funny, we never really thought that it would get so different. It's one of those like the more things change, the more they stay the same kind of thing. But it's very interesting. I was messing around with this stuff as a kid, and here I am, full circle, 360 degrees. And here I am messing with this stuff as an adult 20 years later. 20 years later. Golly. That's fun. It's really fun. This Xybernaut computer is 20 years old. And right at 20 years old. And just funny how things have changed. Like I'm literally just gonna put the whole thing on that one single board instead of the big board that had two sides and everything. This is this is a two-sided board, but whatever. Connects you to the web if you want to use the internet. If you want to use it, because I mean, it wasn't like it was like a utility back then, which that's a story for another day because it should be a utility and it's not. It's never been easier or faster. The Internet Connection Wizard helps you configure your system and sign up with an internet service provider of your choice. Well, as long as your choice is one of the 5 that are built in. I always used mine. Oh, no, I missed it. Oh, it brings the web to your desktop. The integration, this is what I was talking about. The integration of Windows 98 and Internet Explorer gives you the most rewarding way to use the web. New Explorer bars like search history and favorites make it golly, it's going fast now. Enhances communication, gives you exciting tools that help you communicate and collaborate with family and colleagues worldwide. You can email family, meet face-to-face, online with business associates, or watch a live presentation using the internet. Live presentation at 160 by 80 or something like that resolution, just something ridiculously tiny. New communication tools. Using Outlook Express, not only can you send and receive email messages and participate in news groups, you can also manage multiple email accounts. Using Windows Media Player, you can experience events as they're happening because your computer can receive live or streaming multimedia from the internet. And you can even hold online video conferences, chat, and share resources by using the Net Meeting. See, now it slows down. Yeah, so go full circle. Like I was messing around with this stuff back then, and now I'm messing around with this stuff in a different way. But it's funny. Like I never thought that. Like I never really thought that there would be like a like job in doing this. Like I was like, ah, I'm a hacker. Blah 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 blah. That's kind of how I was as a kid. Traumatization. But but no, I mean, like really, like I just when I was a kid, it was just like, okay, you do computers and you get a job doing computers, which a lot of people did. A lot of my my cohort did do that. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I just prefer being a little more artistic about it. It's like I say, like I'm an artist in a lot of ways. Some artists work in paint, some artists work in ink, some artists work in watercolor or whatever. I work in silicon. Faster performance. Windows 98 helps you get top-notch performance without adding new hardware. Programs start and run faster. The Maintenance Wizard suggests ways to improve your computer's performance and schedules regular disk maintenance. Many new computers start instantly using the On Now power management feature. Well, it doesn't quite run so quickly on a Raspberry Pi. I will say that. Its performance does suffer a little bit just because of the limitations of the platform. But it's like a low-end PC from this era. So, not quite doing it justice, but it'll work. It's the aesthetic. It's more about just, what can we do with this thing? Let's just have fun with it. That's all it is. We're going to put the thing on there. We're going to make it make some noise. We're going to make it do a thing. We're going to get a little screen on there, make it do its thing. And then we're just going to call it a day. That's going to be fun. More storage space. Oh my gosh. Gain extra disk space by converting your hard disk to the FAT32 file system. Also supporting large capacity drives, like this 4GB drive, that virtual drive. The FAT32 file system, because NTFS wasn't yet. So they were trying to stay with the FAT system. And so the FAT16 system, and they made the FAT32 system. XFAT comes after that. I'm trying to remember. So like FAT32, I'm trying to remember how FAT32 worked. Like you can do up to 4GB files under FAT32, I think. And then by the time like XP was really coming along, they were just like, the heck with this, let's just use NTFS because it works better. But the file system is interesting because that was part of the compatibility problems with going from 98 to 2000 and NT, or XP, because you had programs that were written for NTFS or written for FAT32 or FAT16. FAT32 was backwards compatible, but NTFS was a little more difficult, and it took a little while to get the compatibility for FAT32 and FAT16. I think I want to say that's why XFAT came around, but I'm not quite sure. So can't really very well say on that. I don't know. Increased dependability. With hundreds of enhancements and a new suite of wizards and smart tools, Windows 98 helps you keep your computer running smoothly. The new registry checker monitors registry files and automatically repairs and restores those files as necessary. Well, that's good to know. I say how this takes forever. Oh, what do we got now? The file system checker automatically locates modified or corrupted system files and then repairs or restores them. If your system is shut down improperly or there's a hard disk error, ScanDisk runs automatically to ensure that your hard disk is in good working condition. Oh, do da day. All day. Scoop up, boop da dee ba ba. Oh, do da day. Oh, I got another one. More entertaining! By converging real-time 2D and 3D graphics, digital, video and audio, and the internet, Windows 98 redefines the role of the computer as an entertainment platform. With support for DVD, digital audio, and processors with MMX technology, you can watch full motion, full screen, multimedia titles on your computer. With support for multiple monitors, you can extend your Windows desktop onto several monitors. By the way, MMX is a trademark of the Intel Corporation. Man, I remember those commercials too. The guys in the clean suits, they're like dancing around, and they're like sparkly clean suits, like literally like glittered clean suits. It's like it's so weird, but I mean, it was a phenomenon. It was, as Richard Dawkins would have called it, it was a meme. Just that was not something that was in the popular parlance yet. But that word does go back at least to that, at least for them. Support for DVD. Wow. Oh, that's right. DVD was just starting to become a thing in like 97, 98. I remember reading about it. The digital versatile disc. Ooh. Reading about that. That's the future. Better games. Games are more engaging and exciting with DirectX capabilities, including digital audio, support for force feedback joysticks, and enhanced graphics and 3D. 3D! DirectX provides the fastest graphics and video performance for computer games. Of course, you know, this idea of 3D is just polygons, 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 polygons. But you know, not like 3D like it is now. It's I guess now it's not 3D. It's not the buzzword. It's you know, VR, AR, for that full immersive first person. But that's essentially what it was back then. Was that whole like immersive first person polygons, polygons, polygons. Supports new hardware. Windows 98 supports more than 1,000 new printers, modems, monitors, network adapters, and other hardware devices. Support for the new Universal Serial Bus, USB, provides a universal connection for many of the most popular devices like scanners and cameras. You simply plug in a USB device and your system reconfigures itself. You don't even need to restart your computer. I gotta say, that's probably like the single greatest achievement in like computer hardware since the microcomputer revolution. I really say the shift to USB has really just changed everything, because everything should be USB by now, more or less is. More accessible. Windows 98 provides new accessibility features that can make it easier for people to interact with computers. Microsoft Magnifier enlarges a portion of your screen up to 9 times its normal size. And you can invert colors and use a high contrast color scheme. But yeah, like Universal Serial Bus, that really has changed, because I mean, like everything is USB in some form or another now. Even the weird stuff, like they were coming out with weird proprietary USB connectors, but they were still USB. If you just cut the end off, and you could, you know, put whatever a matching connector was on there, and you could actually talk to the device. It was actually it was USB. It worked, and you just needed to change the end on it. I've done that a couple of times with some weird proprietary early USB funky connectors. I've done that and just, you know, cut them off and put on like normal, you know, USB-A connectors. And, you know, of course, messed around with, you know, like micros and stuff like that. More customizable. The new accessibility wizard helps you customize your computer screen, your keyboard, and your mouse to fit your needs. Make items easier to see. You can increase the contrast, switch to a larger text size, and have your mouse pointer leave a trail. You can customize keyboard options and replace computer sounds with visual alerts. I mean, this is, like, in hindsight, this was, like, big deal stuff. Like, nobody else was doing this at the time, really. Like, Macintosh was doing a little bit, but really, like, Apple was in this weird, like, they didn't know what the heck they were doing. I mean, Microsoft and the PC clones were just, I mean, they were eating Apple's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, it was just, I want to say, did Apple go bankrupt, or did they very nearly go bankrupt? And I don't remember quite off, but yeah, essentially, like, oh, check out Windows Update. Stay up to date with this web-based extension of Windows 98. The Update Wizard reviews your system, recommends the updates you need, and can install the updates you select. Using Windows Update, you can quickly find answers to your questions about Windows 98 and get access to online product assistance. I feel like, what was it? It was what, Matt LeBlanc and Jennifer Aniston, like, ooh, this is Windows. Oh, whoa. Was that Windows 95 or was that Windows 98? I don't remember. I think it was 95. I want to say it was Windows 95. Like, it was so 90s. Oh my gosh, it was so 90s. Yeah, wow, yeah. Oh, yeah, this is definitely like this is just, thank you. Please register your copy of Windows 98. Signed, The Microsoft Windows 98 team. All right, it's going to finish copying the files and then restart, and then we got to do all like the hardware setup and stuff. Oh, one thing at a time. One thing at a time. All right, 100%. Beautiful. And go ahead and restart. Reboot. Okay. Booting from DVD. I actually want to boot from the hard disk this time because everything's copied over. This may take a few minutes. Aisles! There we go. Getting ready to run Windows for the first time. God, how pixelated. That looked so good on a VGA monitor. It looks so good on a VGA monitor. Now it's just like, oh, is that supposed to look like that? Yes, it is. Oh, man. When I put it on that little bitty tiny screen, it'll be fine. And you won't know the difference. The funny thing about that, those images, they're like little teeny tiny, and they get blown up to like whatever whatever the full size of the screen is. Very interesting. We used to mess around and like change them and stuff like that. I remember I had like a Dirty Harry one. It's like, it's now safe to turn off your computer, punk. And it's like, looking down the barrel at 44 Magnum from Dirty Harry, and it's just like, okay. All right. My name. There we go. Gets to recalibrate. Okay. Sure, I accept the EULA. One day I'm going to do like a dramatic reading of the EULA. All right, I'm going to put the product key in. I have it conveniently written on the disk. Let the disk reinitialize. Okay, there we go. All right. 98 has saved all the information. Click finish. Finish. Setting up hardware and finalizing settings. Initializing the driver database. Okay. Now, setting up your hardware and any plug-and-play devices you may have, which I don't have any right now. I don't have anything plug and play right now. Okay. Let's detect all the hardware that we don't have. I like how it tells me that if it breaks, then just go ahead and restart the computer. It's like, all right, sure. Ah. Yeah, this is really digging in on my retro vibe. Like, I want to make more retro computers. I want to like play. I want to play Commander Keen. Like, I just really want to play Commander Keen. Is that too much to ask? I'm thinking I'm going to build. Like, I saw like this weird, goofy. It was sort of a. I can't tell if it was a joke or not, but somebody was putting together a. The PC classic, you know, like all the old, all the other classic, you know, miniature consoles that have been coming out. Somebody put together a PC classic, and it's like supposed to be all like DOS games or early Windows games and stuff like that. I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna pay for that, but that's kind of a cool idea. Like, I kind of want to make like a little beige box PC case, like a desktop case for a Raspberry Pi. I think that would be fun to just mess around with and put just have like a little front end for it, and you know, have it run DOSBox or Wine or Wine, which Wine is not an emulator, but you know, have a compatibility layer for Windows 95, Windows 98. That was really what. That's really where I did a lot of my gaming was 95, 98. Like I was consoles. I was well, C64, Atari 2600, NES, and then from there went to PC. Well, Game Gear. Okay, restart. Windows is shutting down. From the hard disk again. But yeah, went from there to PC for like the 95, 98 era. So DOS 95, 98. That's where I did a lot of PC gaming. And then after that, I really wasn't playing PC games very much anymore. I wasn't playing a whole lot of games, period, because between college and work, so between like college and work, I really didn't have a whole lot of time to play anymore. When I was playing mostly PlayStation and PS2 by that time. Not a lot of Xbox. Like Xbox just came out like when I graduated high school. So, like, by the time I was in college, I was starting to play a lot of PS2. My girlfriend at the time had a PS2, and so I was playing a lot of that. When I was playing anything, that was pretty much it. Yeah, and then, like, after that, I really just kind of got out of gaming. I was basically just staying in that era, like up to that point. That's where I was. I got a DS. I did get a DS. I still have a DS. I have 3DS. Um, I still play all my old 3DS games or my old DS games on it. I never had the DS. I went DS to like 3DS because it was a weird time. Like I bought my DS. I bought it used. And it was already like DSi era, and I bought the original DS used for like really cheap, and enjoyed it. I love the Castlevania games on the DS. But like the Metroidvania kind of genre is like my deal. That's my thing. Like I've always loved that style of gameplay. So any games I can find that are in that vein, I really enjoy. Um, so I don't play a lot of new games, and of course, by that time, all the AAA games are just boring anyway. Let's see, 19. This is not. This is not. Y2K compatible, I guess. I don't care what time it is. Okay, sure. Now I'm going to set up all this stuff. So yeah, I just kind of got out of gaming by that point, like almost wholesale. Like I was playing little things here and there, GBA and DS, playing some handheld kind of stuff, but I wasn't playing a lot. I didn't play a lot of console. I didn't even play a lot of didn't even play a lot of PC games. There weren't a whole lot of really great games that I could play because I didn't have a Windows computer at the time. I was doing a lot of movies and TV during those years. I digitized my collection because I'd worked on a pretty extensive movie DVD collection after high school. Basically spent a lot of my excess, like my spending money. I spent pretty much everything on media. Because my thought was that in the future I wouldn't have to. Well, that's not good. Poltergeist. Oh shit. Anyway, so my thought was that, like, if I spent money on media now, I wouldn't have to buy it later. I was like, which it makes some sense in a way. And then, a couple of years later, I started digitizing everything because it was like, well, I don't want to move this stuff. I don't want to have to pack it up and move it every time I move. And at the time, I was, looking at being a more mobile lifestyle. I really wasn't settled anywhere yet, so I didn't have, that kind of like sense of home stability kind of thing anymore. I lost a lot in a house fire, things like that. So yeah, like, so I digitized a lot of my collection, and I had it on hard drives, and that's when I built Project Magnavox. Actually, I built Project Magnavox later. I built that after I moved here, but like my first home theater PC system that was when that's when I started like getting into like building stuff and making things, and that was like occupying my time. I wasn't really playing games or anything like that. I was reading. I was reading a lot. I was watching a lot of television and movies, and I was building things, working on things, going out, having a lifestyle. Um, so I wasn't playing games. I didn't have time. So that's when I built my first HTPC, and I started getting back into a lot of the just kind of futzing around with things and messing around with things, and is nice. It's nice. It really brought back. It really like scratched that itch. Like this is like I like putting stuff together. I like building things. I like assembling things. I like designing systems, and that was really what I enjoy doing. And so this is kind of nice to be in this position where I am essentially doing that and getting paid to do that in a lot of ways. So that's cool, and I like that. And I'm, essentially getting paid to install Windows 98 on a Raspberry Pi, and well, go figure. We've come a long, long way since all those days when I would do my scheduled formats. About once in 6 months or so, once 6 months to a year. Just format the hard drive, reinstall Windows, that whole thing. Just kind of start over, start fresh. If I didn't screw anything up already. But it was nice. It was kind of nice to start over and kind of have that fresh start and everything. And oh man, I'm getting tired. But it was cool. It was fun. So it says 7 minutes left on the installation procedure. Let's see where we are. What do we got? There, we got something. Gnome device. Okay, get all the hardware installed. Updating system settings. Gosh. All right, where are we at? What do we got? Come on, give me something. Give me something. Been at this for like 2 hours now. 20 minutes at a time for 2 hours. Hey, look at that! Look at that! Into Windows 98. All right. Sweet. Beautiful. All right. So we got Windows 98 up and running. Let's go ahead and shut her down. Shut down. Shut down. Beautiful. Okay, so I've got the hard drive system image moved from the Windows machine over here to the Raspberry Pi. And now, here comes the fun part where we get to see if this thing will actually work. So to do that, we use QTMU system I386 machine type equals PC, and then we're going to try to accelerate because we need to use as much as we can. TCG. Let's see. CPU is Pentium 2 with 256 megs of memory, using the hard drive image win98.img. All right, hold on to your butts. Aha. It's booting. It's booting. What do we got? What do we got? Right on. There it is. Now it's a little slow, but again, it's not unlike something that is maybe a lower end PC from this era. So look at that. Hey, it works. Look at that. Okay, cool. Fantastic. And so that's there. That's going to take a second. There we go. Whoops. All right. And we'll just go ahead and shut it down. Beautiful. It works. So we'll get that. We'll put this into Project Xyberpunk. And I think we're going to have ourselves a nice little late 90s era wearable. In the meantime, social media is over here. Subscribe down here. Here is a video that YouTube thinks you'll probably enjoy. Otherwise, it's the rest of the playlist, depending on when this comes out. And then down here is a newsletter. Sign up for that. Get updated on all the cool things happening around here at the shop and all the other places. My name is Atari, and until next time, tally ho, y'all.